Wow, look at that, you can see me. I'm a regular YouTuber now. Anyways, just wanted to go over this dope Pericles game. First game is Pericles in a really long time. At the end of the game, I'm making 1100 culture per turn, making almost 750 gold per turn. Got quite a bit of it saved up here. Didn't really have much to spend it on. I was just waiting on turns to run out, really. That's kind of weird. I've got 1200 here and 1100 here. Not sure what that's about. So when I set up this game, I kind of stacked it to uh, be the best Pericles game possible. Actually ran with the first spawn that I received, even though half of it was desert. But I noticed it was a really good Petra spot. And there were plenty of chops in the area. This was all forested, several forests up here. So I chopped all those out. I got the Apadana first, then the Oracle, then the Petra, then the Colosseum, then the Hermitage with a great engineer, because I was drowning in uh, artist points. I've got the Strategic Resource Pantheon, +1 production, +1 faith to strategic resources. Seemed like the best choice at the time, and it ended up being very interesting. These two tiles really were what fueled my capital for the whole of the game. After I got the Petra, these camps became pretty good, and obviously the Petra mines. Volcano tiles, I've covered up 2 of them with wonders at this point, but they were also very good. This one as well. I'm trying to get growth in, because I wanted all the districts that give good great people points, because of the Grants promotion and the Oracle. It's pretty overpowered. I try to do that every game, and it's pretty easy to do. AI doesn't go after the Oracle very much. I tried to get pyramids and the Temple of Artemis, but they were gone. I believe the Temple of Artemis went to Alexander. Yeah, it's right here. And the pyramids went to Russia. Yeah, I did just about the worst I've ever seen in this game. Their cultural output is just abysmal. Kind of a shame that it took me this long to win. What turn is it? Turn 220. It's pretty fast for no tile improvements, but I think it mostly just has to do for how terrible the AI did. I thought I was going to be in trouble. Persia to my southeast, and Alexander to my straight south, and India to my west. I really thought I was just going to get run down with surprise wars. But I somehow managed to stay ahead of them in just about every statistic. And they kept fencing themselves off with these free cities. This city's been free for 100 turns. So is this one. It's an immense army, by the way. So they couldn't stop themselves from getting Dark Ages. Really the worst AI this game was the Netherlands. They had 2 or 3 cities raised throughout the whole game out in this area by barbarians. So it wasn't just Dark Ages that got to them. Harlem was settled very recently. Most of the game they just had Amsterdam. So it's a real shame for them. Over here we got Russia. They stole a lot of great people from me for some reason. I don't know. The damn Lavra is just so good. Again, I think Russia and Georgia focused too much on religion, got a lot of Dark Ages. Cities have been free for quite a while. Like I said before, I stacked the game with the city-states. Favorite ones for culture are Kumasi and Antananarivo. Vilnius was one the game put in, and so was Caguana. Kumasi is really good with Pericles, especially since I chose the Owls of Minerva. So my 3 district choices were really the Theater Square, the harbor, and the commercial hub, because you get an extra trade route if you build a harbor and a commercial hub in the same city. So late game, I was trying to do that in all of my cities that I could that were coastal, and one on a lake. That's how I was able to get 15 trade routes. Pretty important with the owls. So I used the envoy mechanic quite a bit, especially early game, just to get random suzerainties. Didn't care that much about Singapore. I was mostly training internally because of my Magnus city towards the beginning, but I also know the AI doesn't go after that one very much, so I just take suzerainty early and don't worry about it. Extra 5% culture early game. I think the first one I got was in Tananarivo, and then I saved envoys until I found Kamasi because that was one that I really wanted. Because of their bonus gives you 2 culture and 1 gold for every specialty district in the origin city. Trade routes to city states. I really found them too late to take advantage of the ability because they are on the other side of the world. India was the only AI that did any good this game. I was in alliance with him for most of the game, but they would have had a very difficult time attacking me anyway. Didn't settle these 2 cities until I was far enough ahead of him technologically that I didn't fear retaliation there. But Knossos is highly defendable, so I think even if he had went nuts with science, I would have still been able to defend myself rather easily. One of the coolest things about this game has been the farms. I've just put farms everywhere because it's a plain start, not much grassland in my starting area. These plain farms, they're all really high food and 1 production, which is better than just food. So plains are better than grasslands most of the time. This was my laying city. She made builders for me just about the whole game. There's also a lot of good chops in here, and that's what allowed me to get a couple of good wonders, the Broadway and Machu Picchu. Which, since the update, Machu Picchu was available very late game, and it allowed me to get some good adjacency on these theater squares. This was my tourism city. I didn't have enough faith generation really to turn it into anything spectacular. Only have 2 national parks this game here, and here, out of the outrageous border growth of my capital. But I was looking to fit 4 national parks in here. And it would have worked if I'd had more faith, but the only faith I got this whole game was basically from the Strategic Resource Pantheon. So it is what it is there. A really nice farm triangle right here. Just discovered Niter because I beelined flight and then computers. So I'm just now working up through the other part of the tech tree. So I recently got Niter there. Entirely peaceful game, mostly because of these loyalty issues. Really kept these aggressive AI from, or typically aggressive AI from, just running away with things. This is probably my favorite city this game, Rhodes. I planned it out from the very beginning. It's my trade city. Magnus with the surplus logistics promotion allows it to grow really tall, get a lot of districts in there. It's also my settler city. This place was covered in trees. I chopped every last one to settle all of these cities. Obviously I have the Ancestral Hall. The districts are Government Plaza, Diplomatic Quarter, Industrial Zone, Commercial Hub, and Encampment. So trade routes to this city should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 production, and then whatever I can add from policies. Excellent farmland here. We really do love to see that one. There's also only 1 hill tile in the area, so I could only put 1 Acropolis down, so it was given to Pergamon, so I could build it earlier and get some tourism on it before the late game. This is the Batey, it's the Caguana city-state unique improvement. Still trying to figure it out. I'm pretty sure it's 2 culture per bonus resource adjacent, and then 4 culture late game after a certain civic. Got a couple of them down. I'm pretty sure they raise adjacent tiles appeal. That's what I'm trying to do over here, is boost this national park. As for tourism, Apothecary like normal. My first great music works when in there. Hermitage is also doing pretty good this game. Of course, it's only that good because I was able to get to the policy that is 200% tourism from great works of art. Hermitage is normally a low return wonder, but I was able to build it in the Bengala city, and I had lots of great works of art to throw around, so pretty good Acropolis here. As you can see, the Acropolises are really what's winning me this game here. So, national parks didn't help me much. This one's making 42, that's pretty good. We're able to get 5 there. Another interesting thing I did this game was settle a trade city-state out here in the middle of nowhere, just so I could get routes to Gilgamesh and to um, Georgia. Never got a trade route to Russia this game, but I think that, you know, even though they got great people, their culture generation just wasn't that great, so didn't really have to try to win there. Yeah, I want to look at the adjacency. A plus 12 industrial zone is pretty great. This is probably one of my most productive cities, even though it's entirely Plains Hills. All you really need is a floodplain to get some production and some chops. It really takes too long to get started if there's no chops. But obviously Petra boosted this city to ridiculous heights. These volcano desert hill tiles are just nuts. Along with the Pantheon that I chose. Crazy tile. So these are all the cities that I've got the harbor commercial hub combo. This one has it, this one has it. 3. I meant to get one in here, but she was too busy making builders, really. 4. Made a nice little lattice. Harbor, harbor, commercial hub, commercial hub. 5. And then 6. Harbor, commercial hub. So those are all 3 trade routes apiece. So Owls can be really powerful if you use it right, and Pericles is pretty good at using it right. So I guess that's pretty much it, but pretty dope game is Pericles. Pericles is stupid overpowered for culture generation, but there is some strategy involved in turning culture generation into a culture victory, which they should really call a tourism victory, because sheer culture generation alone doesn't get you the win. I won several turns ago, 113 tourists. That is pretty shoddy on king difficulty, so they're not that good. Anyways, great game. Had a lot of fun. Meme games are my favorite kind. Thanks for watching.